Hi, this is Lorraine Watry, and this is part 2 of a watercolor demo of a garden scene. In the first video, I had worked on the background and the sky, and this is a scene that shows a kind of a cascading group of pots down a hillside and has ice plant flowers, those pink flowers growing around them, and some flowers in the pots, and then also grasses and things. Right now I'm working on a fescue type grass that's in the blue-green range, and I use manganese blue with some olive green and also some manganese blue with a little bit of cad red in it to gray it down. And I'm just doing a kind of a mix of both of those combination of colors so that there's some variation within those grasses. And this is sort of the first pass of the color on those grasses. And I will then come back possibly later and add a little more texture to those grasses with some brush strokes that define the grasses a little bit more. I used masking on the upper edges of a lot of the grasses so that when I paint the darker colors around the grasses, then some of those edges that are lit and also lighter, then the surrounding grass will show up, and so the masking will protect the upper edges of the grasses and flowers and pots and things like that until I'm ready to paint them later or have them remain white. So I'm just moving kind of down the hillside there, painting in those grasses, and that helps me kind of define the edges of the other shapes of the flowers and the other grasses and pots. It kind of gives me a direction to go. So I'm just going to put all of those blue fescue grasses in at the same time. So I've added a little bit of quinacridone gold every now and then to the mix of my paints, and it's just to kind of start warming up those green colors just a little bit. And right there I started painting in an area that I didn't want that color and just kind of got busy talking to the students in the class. So you saw me dab back with my paper towel and lift that color back up. And it's light enough color that even though it left a little bit of color on the paper, I'm going to be covering over it later with another green, so it's not a big deal. So now I'm in the foreground and I'm working on that section of green grasses, and I'm warming it up just even a little bit more and added just a little bit more quinacridone gold to it, and that makes that area sort of look like it's hit with sunlight, and it also highlights or adds to the feel of perspective, because the warmer colors will come forward and the cooler colors will go back. So that has to do with aerial perspective in a landscape. And so by warming it up, I'm giving more dimension to that whole scene. In the edges of my grass, I continue to paint around pots and also give the edges the loose kind of flowing feeling of the grasses. I like to talk with my hands a lot, as you can see. Okay, I'm going to finish up the grasses, and then I'm going to use a blow dryer and start getting those areas dry so that I can demo to the class on how I would start working on the pinks of the flowers. When you're doing a garden scene like this, where it's a larger landscape view, you want to do more of an overall impression of the scene and mass shapes, and then pick one or a couple areas that will be your center of interest. And your center of interest then will be the area that is most in focus and have the brightest colors. And then everything else in the scene is sort of a supporting actor or actress of that center of interest. So they will have softer edges, or like I said, the shapes will be more of a group instead of individual things. I don't typically use a blow dryer that often when I'm painting for myself. Generally, I will paint in a section like that and either go walk away from it, or I'll work on an area that is not connected to that section. But having a class, you have to move things along a little bit, so I'll use the dryer more often when I'm demoing to a class. And then when you're checking your painting to see if it's dry, use the back of your hand to check those areas, because you have oils on the palms of your hands, and using the back of your hand will keep from getting those oils on the paper. And what you're looking for is, if the paper is still cold to the touch, then it's not completely dry and you need to dry it a little bit longer. And I have a little bit of color out already for the pinks. I had some quinacridone magenta, and I'm just pulling out a few other pinks that I might use for that section. Now, if I had done a color study for this painting, a little small version, it could be anywhere from 2x3 to 4x6 or something. And a color study is just a fast way to figure out where you're going in a painting and what colors you might use. And if I had done that, then I might already have known what colors I was going to use. So at this point, I was just kind of playing and guessing what I might go with. So I chose some permanent rose, some quinacridone magenta, and I think I even pulled out a little bit of opera, which is a really bright pink color. And I'm just kind of loosely putting in those flowers back there. They're just going to be a mass of color, not necessarily describing each flower. In fact, I won't describe each flower in the background. And I may put in some more texture or layers on top of those later, but for right now it's just sort of that beginning layer to get some color in and cover up some of that white. So I'm going around one of the pots up there, and I will get in just a little bit more. Before this video ends, I just want to say thank you for watching, and please check back for future parts to this garden scene. I will upload them when I get them done for the class, and we meet once a week, so it could be a little bit between videos, but please check back. Thanks for watching. And if you're interested in more watercolor techniques and information, please check my blog at lorrainewatry.blogspot.com. Thanks.